continuing reading out aloud Nigel Neal's article in the Free Encyclopedia. His first professional script writing credit came when he wrote the radio drama The Long Stairs, broadcast by the BBC on the 1st of March 1950 and based on an historical mining disaster on the Isle of Man. In 1951, he was recruited as one of the first staff writers to be employed by BBC Television. Before he started working for the station, Neal had never seen any television. Neal was initially a general-purpose writer, working on adaptations of books and stage plays and even writing material for light entertainment and children's programs. The following year, Michael Barry became the head of drama at BBC Television and spent his entire first year's script budget of £250 to hire Neal as a full-time writer for the drama department. Neal's first credited role in adult television drama was providing additional dialogue for the play Arrow to the Heart, broadcast on the 20th of July 1952. This play was adapted and directed by the Austrian television director Rudolf Cartier, who had also joined the staff of the BBC drama department in 1952. Neal's lost radio play You Must Listen, broadcast in 1952, was rebroadcast in a new production by BBC Radio 4 on the 20th of September 2023. Neal wrote The Quatermass Experiment, which was broadcast in 6 half-hour episodes in July and August 1953. The serial told the story of Professor Bernard Quatermass of the British Experimental Rocket Group and the consequences of his sending the first crewed mission into space, where a terrible fate befalls the crew and only one returns. The Quatermass Experiment was one of the first adult television science fiction productions, held a large television audience gripped across its 6 weeks, and has been described by the Museum of Broadcast Communications as dramatising a new range of gendered fears about Britain's post-war and post-colonial security. Neal chose the character's surname because many Manx surnames begin with a Q, QU. The actual name itself was picked from a London telephone directory. The professor's first name was chosen in honour of the astronomer Bernard Lovell. The BBC recognised the success of the serial, particularly in the context of the impending arrival of commercial television to the UK. Controller of programme Cecil McGivern wrote in a memo that, had competitive television been in existence then, we would have killed it every Saturday night while the Quatermass experiment lasted. We are going to need many more Quatermass experiment programmes. Like all of Neal's television work for the BBC in the 1950s, the Quatermass experiment was transmitted live. Only the first 2 episodes were telerecorded and survive in the BBC's archives. In the autumn of 1955, Hammer Film Productions released The Quatermass Experiment, their film adaptation of the serial. Neal was not pleased with the film, and particularly disliked the casting of Brian Donlevy as Quatermass. As he explained in a 1986 interview, Donlevy was then really on the skids and didn't care what he was doing. He took very little interest in the making of the films or in playing the part. It was a case of take the money and run, or in the case of Mr. Donlevy, waddle. Neal and Cartier next collaborated on an adaptation of Wuthering Heights, broadcast at 6th of December 1953, and then on a version of George Orwell's novel 1984, 12th of December 1954. 1984 was a particularly notable production. Many found it shocking, and questions were asked in Parliament about whether some of the scenes had been suitable for television. There was also prominent support for the play. The Duke of Edinburgh made it known that he and the Queen had watched and enjoyed the programme, and the Second Life performance on the 16th of December gained the largest television audience since her coronation the previous year. The Guardian newspaper's obituary of Neal in 2006 claimed that the adaptation had permanently revived Orwell's reputation, while the British Film Institute included it in their list of the 100 greatest British television programmes of the 20th century in 2000. The Creature, an original script by Neal concerning the legend of the abominable snowman, was his next collaboration with Cartier, broadcast on the 30th of January 1955, followed by an adaptation of Peter Ustinov's play The Moment of Truth, 10th of March 1955, before Neal was commissioned to write Quatermass 2. Specifically designed by the BBC to combat the threat of the new ITV network, which launched just a month before Quatermass 2 was shown, the serial was even more successful than the first, drawing audiences of up to 9 million viewers. Neal was inspired in writing the serial by contemporary fears over secret UK Ministry of Defence research establishments such as Porton Down, as well as the fact that, as a BBC staff writer, he had been required to sign the Official Secrets Act. Quatermass 2 was Neal's final original script for the BBC as a staff writer. He left the corporation when his contract expired at the end of 1956. 5 years in that hut was as much as any sane person could stand, he later told an interviewer. We'll continue this next time so we don't go over copyright. Thanks again, everyone. I appreciate it very, very, very immensely.